are on the internet, this is what the internet is. Welcome to it. Welcome to Salty Sweet Games. I am the aforementioned Salty.
And I'm Sweet.
And these various assorted spices are our friends. Welcome to the premiere of Strange Invasion Assault on the Barrier Peaks. Before we go around and meet all of these awesome people, let's do some channel stuff.
Channel stuff.
Love it. Let's do it.
Our channel is generally sponsored by Roll20. If you like tabletop games, if you like playing tabletop games with your friends across any distance, Roll20. They're awesome. They're a virtual tabletop of choice, so go give them some love. And check out the other Roll20 Spotlight shows, because they're really cool people. Other thing is that we have a bunch of ways that you can help support the channel. We pay for everything out of pocket here on Salty Sweet Games. So all of the subs or donations or purchases at our Redbubble store all go directly to helping out the channel, keeping the lights on, making sure we can keep bringing content to y'all. Speaking of donations, you can check out the donation panel down below.
Which Katie just did. She donated 2 advantages for everyone to start us off with.
Woo!
Bless you, Katie. Bless you.
Thank you, Katie. So as you can see, all of the donations are down below. You can help affect the story, help support all of the characters. We're going to need it, so please help us. And again, you help support the channel. So thank you so much, Katie, for doing that. And of course, we have all of our lovely emotes for all of our subscribers.
Yes.
So definitely go check those out and help us out that way.
I'm just spamming the emotes now.
Yes, spam those emotes.
They're so pretty.
They're so good. I think that's it for channel admin.
Yeah,
stuff.
should we talk about who we're playing before we hand it off to our friends?
Yeah, let's go do that.
Okay, well, you're number 1 on the call sheet, so...
Oh, well, okay, cool.
It's the order I put you in the trailer, so I'm in charge.
Cool, fine, I guess. I am playing Ardent, who you'll find out more about, but they are a Asmar Paladin, Oath of the Crown. Super excited to be playing her. She uses she, they pronouns, so yeah, this will be interesting. My first time playing a Paladin. So
a paladin?
A paladin. I don't know what I'm doing.
Is that how Ardent talks? Please say yes.
No, I don't.
Say yes.
I haven't figured out their voice yet.
I never figure out a voice before I start talking in character.
It'll happen. If it happens to be that voice, blame Lauren. Cool. Lauren, who are you playing?
I am playing Dulcinea, who also goes by Dulcie. And Sweets, she is an Eladrin swashbuckler, currently in her spring form. She's trouble. The end. Nailed it.
The end nailed it.
The end nailed it. Oh, thank you, Mike. Mike donated for 2 alien devices. Have fun, Allyson. Have fun. But let's go around and meet our players. Let's start with Gnome. Welcome to the channel, Gnome.
Hi. What's up? Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be playing here and with all of your lovely faces. This is my first time playing with all of you.
Yeah.
This is entirely new. And I'm so excited because this game too. Allyson, I'm stoked. I'm ready to go. Do I have to introduce my character? I don't know how this works. I should have been paying more attention. Okay, cool. Great. I am playing Idoso Farleaf, who is not a gnome, halfling. Definitely a halfling. Ranger rogue. And specifically a horizon walker. So I'm super excited to kind of mess with some of those otherworldly mechanics.
Oh, yes. Very good, very good. And Jim, our friend Jim.
Hey! Oh, I am so crazy excited because this is my first time on this channel and my first time actually playing with Gnome. I've never got to play with Gnome before, so this is freaking awesome because I've heard so many good things. And I am just utterly freaking delighted to be doing this. It is a wonder, an absolute wonder. I am playing Devlin Archon. He is basically he is a dwarf who is like around a couple hundred years old or so, from an ancient order that is no more. of people who know things about various things. His specialty was as an abjurer of sorts. In the ancient times, they might have called these people wizards.
Do not trust. Where's my doubt? Where's my doubt button?
Do not trust the dirt wizard.
Yeah, he is an angry dirt wizard.
Perfect.
And finally, let's hand things over to our dungeon master, Allyson.
Hello. Hello, players. Hello, viewers. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I can't believe it's finally here. Mostly because I am completely unprepared. I just want you to know that that's important up front. I have like 2 sticky notes of notes. That's what we're going with tonight.
She prepared till 2 a.m. last night. So.
No, I don't trust anything if Allie ever said that she's unprepared for something.
The secret's out. Okay. Welcome. I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Welcome to Strange Invasion, Assault on the Barrier Peaks. And let's talk just a little bit more about that, shall we? Those of you that have been around the game for a while probably heard of the Barrier Peaks. Our adventure is going to follow the path of a Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition module that was called Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. It was designed and written by Gary Gygax himself. It was first played publicly at the Second Origins Game Fair in 1976. And just last year in 2019, Goodman Games published a 5e conversion of the original module, the 3rd installment in their original Adventures Reincarnated series. That's forming sort of the foundation of what we're working with tonight, but just the foundation. Along with these amazing role players and world builders, we have put together a whole world around the old dungeon crawl. And I've added a few, shall we say, special items of my own. I can't wait for you to see. One last thing to mention, here on Salty Sweet Games, we use safety tools like XN and O cards, because although our characters are probably going to encounter some of the most famously lethal creatures in the D&D canon, along with many other dangers completely unique to this setting, our players are here to have fun, and tools like X and O cards help us to do that. You'll also find content warnings that are relevant to this episode, accessible to you in the Twitch chat at any time. Simply type !CW, that's !CW, to see those content warnings. If you do that right now, you'll see not much tonight, just a little mild cosmic horror. Get it? Mild cosmic horror? Yeah, there's no such thing. But that's probably what you can expect to see tonight. With that, I don't know that there's anything else to do but to dive into our adventure. And so without further ado, let me welcome you to Strange Invasion, Assault on the Barrier Peaks. The snows have come early to the northern highlands this year, dusting the rocky hills with a scant coating of white and turning every road into a muddy mire. Though the vernal equinox was just a week ago, the memory of summer's warmth has all but faded. The comfort of last month's full barns has already given way to a sense of perilous scarcity. The same could be said for this world itself, known as Athraean to those who inhabit it. It was once the home of a great civilization, diverse and prosperous. But that golden age has sadly passed. Today, a few of the great cities still endure behind their ancient walls. Towns and villages dot the countryside, governed and protected by noble families, many of whom trace their lineage back to that almost forgotten, prosperous era. Some of them rule wisely and well. Others are tyrants or buffoons. Life, for most, in Athraean is stable, though for few is it truly comfortable. This is a gray and dirty season in a gray and dirty age. 100 years ago, these mountains were a war zone. A planar portal high in the barrier peaks spewed out monstrous creatures, senseless but for their insatiable hunger. They were followed by sentient fiends under the command of one we called the Demon King, bent on the destruction of all but their own kind. They reduced farms and villages to ash, laid siege to the northernmost cities, slaughtering thousands and enslaving thousands more. It appeared that nothing could stop them, and all would be lost. But in a last-ditch effort to save the world from this horrifying fate, the Hearth Wardens, an ancient order of magic users of many different races and cultures, enacted an arcane ritual of unspeakable power to force the portal shut. The ritual succeeded, but at a terrible cost. Nearly every Hearth Warden was lost in the effort, either consumed by the ritual or banished to some distant, nigh inescapable plane. But the threat was no more. Life is nothing if not resilient, and among the ashes, the people of Ithraean began to rebuild. Today, 3 generations have grown up in the aftermath of that war, and though they've known great hardship, they have, for the most part, known peace. Recently, however, a rash of mysterious and deadly raids have struck the lands beneath the soaring barrier peaks. The few who have survived these attacks tell of knights in strange armor, wielding powerful magic in an unknown tongue. Some have spoken of ravenous beasts unlike any heretofore known, impervious to sword and spell alike. In taverns, at supper tables, and in banqueting halls across the realms, the same question is whispered. Are these raids a portent to a new invasion? From her keep at Kedron's Crag in the foothills of the barrier peaks, Lady Bronwyn Barrelhelm, Crown Protector of the Mountains and Matriarch of Clan Barrelhelm, has issued a summons. A reconnaissance is being planned to discover the source of these attacks, requiring the fiercest warriors, cleverest mages, and most cunning scouts and spies. And so, as the sun rises on our adventure, a pale sun and a gray sky, we meet one of those traveling to Kedron's Crag to answer the call. The Aasimar known as Ardent, champion of the great city of Isranthas, rides up the steep road to the gates of the crag, 300 feet above the valley floor. Kienna, tell us about Ardent and their reasons for making this journey north this morning.
As we see Ardent walk up, perhaps cresting this hill, you first see the glint of their armor, mithril, dark blue, shimmering off this faint sunlight. And if that was not eye-catching enough, eyes would be drawn up towards the long silver hair and braids, up towards the high cheekboned face, with not 1, not 2, but 4 eyes. The marker of Ardent, known also as the Avenging Angel of Isranthus, also known as the Protector, one who came from above and tasked with protecting not just the city itself, but with perhaps civilization and the tenets of it. And she comes from a call, knowing that, well, she could stay within the walls of her own city. If there were such dangers threatening the entire land, they were bound by their duty by the North Star to attend to this matter.
Ardent, as you make your way through the gates and through the crag's narrow streets, the town around you is beginning to come to life. You wind past homes and stables, tavern shops lit by the soft glow of candles and lanterns. Your breath rises in front of you in clouds of steam. It's cold. Down the street, you see someone empty a chamber pot from a second-story window, and soon its pungent smell mingles with that of baking bread and the smoke of 100 or so hearths here in the town that surrounds the keep of Kedron's Crag. There are a few people in the streets at this hour, but those that you pass seem to eye you warily. You arrive soon at the inner gate, behind which lies Lady Barrelhelm's keep. And you're met there by Regic Oakenbow, commander of the watch. Regic is a dwarf built short and stout, kind of like a brick teapot. He wears a breastplate over loose-fitting leather breeches. You've met him once or twice before, but you've never met him here on his home turf before. And he walks up to you there at the gate. Ardent, welcome to the Crag. How was the journey?
Peaceful enough. Thank you.
Hard to ask for more in times like these. Well, Lady Barrelhelm is unfortunately occupied this morning, but she's asked me to convey her greetings to you and her wish to see you at the regale this evening. In the meantime, a chamber is being prepared for you here in the keep. The page will meet you when it's ready.
And Ardent will do a very respectful head nod.
Regic bows back to you. Says you're welcome to stay here in the yard if you like, or come into the guard tower. There's a fire, some coffee, keep warm.
I think I will take a walk around the town and then take up your hospitality later, if that is a possibility.
Of course. He nods. Regic is a man of few words. And he turns to walk back into the guard tower. I'd like for you to make a perception check for me, please.
Ooh. First roll, let's go. You know, if it'll actually go, come on.
There's always that.
Come on. Oh, 20. Sweet, okay, you gotta be in suspense.
Wow.
You lord, okay.
Okay.
It's fine, it's cool. Get it out of the way.
Wonderful. That's right. Good. So you, as you take in the yard around you, you notice a number of horses that are tied up to hitching posts. Small troops of guards are marching from one side of the keep to another. You hear the voices of an early morning here in this town in the mountains. And the gate back out to the town beckons.
Ardent will walk back out and walk through town.
The roads in the city or the town of Kedron's Crag are just what you imagined that they would be. They're rough, cobblestone, and you can hear the heels of your boots. It's quiet enough over the sounds of the town waking up. You see to your left a small, perhaps a small homestead where a family lives in an apartment above their stable, a couple of cows and a pig below. You recall a tavern that you passed some 100 or 200 feet ahead. There were some good smells coming from the tavern as you passed.
Yeah. Ardent is mostly just getting a feel for this place. Just understanding what is the general setup, what are the people like, what are the vibes here in this town.
Yeah. It is cold. It's cold and it's quiet. And that strikes you as perhaps just a bit strange because you've visited the crag once before in a different season, admittedly. But it struck you as a place that was warm and welcoming and full of joy. You're not feeling that today. In fact, would you make let's just have a sort of a general insight check into your surroundings, shall we?
Okay. Yeah. You know, if it'll roll, that's cool.
Exactly.
Just gotta wait. It's fine.
There's still very few people awake, and those that are very focused. Nice. Those that are very focused on the chores of the morning. There's much to do in a small town like this to prepare for the day. There's water to be boiled, meals to begin, livestock to tend to, children to tend to. And so it's difficult for you to get any real sense of other than that sense that things are different now than they were before. And you have to wonder if it is not because of the recent attacks.
Cool. Yep. And they'll take this all in, and I think they'll probably get up to the. Is there like a town wall that's surrounding this town, or is it just open?
There's an inner wall that secures the keep and a few other buildings, and then there's an outer wall that was built much later to protect the town that grew up around the keep. And the entire town sits at the top of this rocky promontory that looks out over the valley, over the foothills of the barrier peaks, and really the only approach for caravans and the like up into the mountains.
Yeah, and they're probably just gonna head over to the walls, and if they can get to the top of it without having to pop out the wings, they will. Because I'd rather not right now. But.
Yeah. There are every 100 feet or so, there are a set of stairs that lead up to the top of the wall where guards could mount to the top and so forth.
Yeah.
So you can climb if you'd like.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah. Great. How about another perception check then, please?
Okay, come on. Listen, I don't know what's up, okay? I
will remind you that you do have 2 advantages at this early stage in the game.
I don't want to use them so freaking early in the game.
Are you sure, though?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, then I won't ask again.
Oh, thank God.
Cool.
As you get to the top of the stairs and step up to the battlement, your you're struck for just a moment at the grandeur of the view that you see. You estimate that you can see 15 or 20 miles from this height, looking back toward the South Country from whence you've come. You see a few of the towns and villages that you passed as you made your way to the crag, and you can see smoke rising. They are also beginning to wake up. You notice, though, on the road that winds its way up from the valley floor, the hill that you climbed just 15 or 20 minutes ago, you notice someone on horseback. And it's unusual to you because this person is carrying some kind of a banner or a guidon with them. And as you focus your four eyes tightly, you see that the banner they're carrying is the banner of the city guard of the great city of Ithranthus, your own city.
Do I recognize this person?
It's hard to say at this distance.
Okay. Ardent's gonna climb back down and walk through the gateway, and about 10 feet out from it, waiting for this person to arrive.
Yeah. You're greeted by members of the town guard of the crag as you step out, people that saw you in just, it seems like moments ago. You don't have to wait for long before you see the tip of the guidon of the banner over the horizon, and then the horse, and then the rider. And you do indeed recognize the rider. And he recognizes you as well. This is Captain Rico Dorthin, who is captain of the guard of your city. And he shouts out to you, Ardent! Ardent, is that you? What are you doing here? Continuing to approach on horseback.
I feel like I should be asking the same of you, Captain.
I was summoned for reasons related to the security of the Five Realms. I've been granted leave from Minister Gerard to attend to these matters. It's likely, in fact, that I will not be returning to Ithranthus for some time.
Oh.
And he's now ridden past you, and he's not stopped. He's slowed, as you would on horseback, riding through the narrow streets of a small town. But he's moving forward.
Yeah, of course he is. Ardent will spin on her heel and follow, keeping good pace. I am surprised that you would leave the city.
Well, you must be aware that I would not leave were it not under the most dire of circumstances. But you've not answered my question. What is it that brings you this far north?
I believe answering the same call.
Really?
Ardent doesn't change their expression.
Well, that's good. That's jolly good.
I may no longer be of city guard, but I still have my own duties to upkeep.
Yes, of course. Of course you do. Of course you do. I'm sure they're very important as well. And by this time, you've reached the inner gate to the keep, and a page runs up and takes his horse by the halter, and he dismounts. The guidon is still strapped there to the side of the saddle. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have business to attend to. Perhaps I'll see you later.
If I am to assume we are on the same business, I will see you this evening.
The regale, of course. One of the reasons that I love coming to the crag. Known for their regales, you know. Great, great parties. I'm sure I'll see you there. Farewell. He strides off.
Ardent looks to see if God, I'm forgetting his name already. The captain.
Redrick.
Redrick, yes, thank you. If Redrick was there.
He's not standing anywhere nearby that you see him.
Yeah.
Presumably still in the guardhouse.
Yeah, they're just gonna go to the guardhouse.
All right. And as Ardent makes their way into the guardhouse as well and feels the warmth of the fire and smells the aroma of fresh coffee being brewed over it, we're going to leave them for just a moment and we'll flash forward in time. It's nearing midday now, and the sun is still straining to pierce the veil of clouds that linger over these foothills when Devlin Archon, the last of the Hearth Wardens, arrives at the crag. Devlin, I wonder if you might share with us what we see when we see you approaching the gates of the inner gates of Lady Barrelhelm's keep.
Well, you're going to see this fellow in dark clothes, sort of a dark kind of dark gray cloak and sort of a very sort of dark black tunic type deal. Essentially just traveling clothes, walking with a staff. He's a dwarf. But he's a little bit leaner than what you would expect to see of a dwarf. Hard to tell exactly how old he is. Probably like middle-aged. And he's exceptionally balding. To a great point. But he has a beard that flares down with mighty sideburns and comes in with some flecked with gray, but is mostly still brown. As he walks, you probably you don't always see it because it's sometimes concealed within the sort of the tunic, but there's a leather thong around his neck with a set of little sort of quartz-looking-ish crystals dangling from them, and his various gear, and he's sort of humming to himself as he approaches. It's clear that he's walked a great distance. It's hard to tell exactly how long, but there is much dust upon him.
Yes. As he approaches the gate, then, I wonder if we were just focusing on his face, is there an expression of any kind that we might divine? How's he feeling about being here?
It's kind of one of those, if you sort of imagine that there was something that left all the marks on a person ages ago. He's an exceptionally lined face. And it's that sort of just kind of, it's like an expression of mild bemusement at the summons mixed with this low-key, constant, mild dread when one sees the potential of like a thing that is supposed to have been buried for a very long time is now working its way back out of its grave. it's a look that not a lot of folks necessarily will have out in public, but he wears it.
Well, he stands for a moment, and a guard has noticed and begins to approach. But even as the guard approaches across the yard, Devlin sees first a hand go up. And as he follows the hand downward to the face, he sees an expression very, very similar to his own. It's not a dwarvish face, though. It's an elvish one. And your old friend, Kirith Grenalis, once a Hearth Warden themselves, now lore master to Lady Barrelhelm, begins to walk in long strides across the yard toward you.
Surprised I'm still alive.
Not surprised, I would say. It is good to see you, Warden. I
Trip's
bid you a
longer than I
warm
remember.
welcome. Particularly in these days.
Yeah, I feel like the things are starting to slip through again. And
Yes, indeed.
to put something out of its misery on the way here, not even sure I was fully able to identify it.
Oh, really? Was it massive? We've heard reports of massive creatures.
Yeah, something looked like something on the lines of an armadillo, but it was, let's just say, not one that I've ever seen in any nature book or in nature.
Yes.
At least not as far as nature on this plane is concerned.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Where are my manners? Warden Archon, a warm welcome to Kedron's Crag and to the hearth of Clan Barrelhelm.
Aye, thank you. Is Barrelhelm about? We should probably get to business.
Yes, indeed. Although I must share with you my lady's regrets. Unfortunately, she is detained at this hour and is unable to meet you herself. However, she is preparing quarters for you here in the keep. And there's of course, warmth and drink inside if you'd like to join me.
I suppose so. If we have time to wait before whenever this whatever is about to happen is going to happen.
He leans into you a bit at this point and lowers his voice. I fear, old friend, that perhaps you and I are the only ones with the appropriate sense of urgency at these matters.
Oh. Let's hope that whatever it is, it doesn't amount to the same difficulties as the first time all this started happening. This one we've got to get early because we do not have the people.
Yes. Let us hope indeed. If you'll allow him to, he takes your arm and begins to walk with you toward the main entrance to the keep itself. The doors of this keep are truly a wonder. They're iron-bound wood. At the bounds of them, they're almost 2 feet thick, 12 feet tall, and 12 feet across. It takes 3 men of great strength to open or close them. But they're cracked open enough for 1 or 2 people to squeeze in at this hour, and so he leads you inside and down a nearby corridor to receiving chamber. There's a table with food laid out, a fire roars. So tell me, what have you heard?
Well, unfortunately, there's still not a lot that's any solid evidence. But you hear these things about these eldritch knights of some kind
Yes.
riding about the place. I was come by a few burned out hovels. Didn't seem to be, and I looked within it, couldn't find much of anything. But there's something out there.
They seem to leave very little intact behind, but they seem to take little or nothing. It's quite strange.
It's got. If they're not after anything, then if they're just throwing themselves out randomly, there's got to be a purpose. There's got to be some purpose to it, even if it's just merely sending a message.
Well, what few reports we have of their tactics seem to indicate they have command of some strange type of magic, and they channel that magic through an assortment of different foci, items of metal, of some type of bone, items of glass even.
Yeah. It's curious.
Great command of radiant energies, it seems. The only other rumor of which there's been any type of corroboration is that they never surrender, Devlin. They never surrender.
That's worse than the demons.
Worse than the demons, indeed.
Yeah.
And he looks down into the cup of warmed wine that he's been drinking from and swirls it around a bit. And as the swirl slows, our vision fades from this scene again. And after a bit more time passes, it's mid-afternoon now, and a light snow has begun to fall on the crag when a halfling winds his way through the streets of the town and pauses for just a moment to look into a tavern that's just beginning to come to life. Gnome, what would you tell us about Idoso Farleaf?
Okay, Idoso is small, halfling, very lanky, and wearing kind of a mismatch assortment of colorful leathers. There's feathers that are kind of like sewn into the like doublet that he's wearing, and there's just all of his like little trinkets, like little shiny stones and shells and teeth and bones that are just woven throughout the vest, almost like if you think of like a biker, like a biker vest, like who has patches all over the place, signifying all the places he's been. That's what Idoso has essentially, and bright colored yellow shirt, which is just as bright as the exterior of his face is. Which every time he smiles, though, he is indeed missing a nice big old tooth off to the side, shaved head, wildly outgrown eyebrows. Traveling incredibly lightly, but he does have a pretty large, for a halfling, crossbow that's kind of just strapped on to his back with a little bolts off to the side.
As he stares for just a moment through the glass into the tavern, a young child runs out, a little girl, a human perhaps 6 years old, maybe 7, and runs up beside you. And even though you're looking down at her, she still reaches up and tugs the side of your pant leg. Who are you, mister? You're not from around here.
Oh,
I've never seen you before.
All right, Mucker. I'm just here traveling. There's a whole bunch of amazing things that I've not seen here yet. I'm assuming you're from here, though, yes?
I am. My name's Jenny. This is my tavern.
Oh, hi, Jenny. I'm Idoso. And he'll like go ahead and hold out his hand to shake hers.
And she takes your hand and, much like a child who's just learned to shake hands, gives it one good shake and then lets it go kind of awkwardly.
Oh, that's a solid grip you got there. So you say you own the tavern?
No, my mommy and daddy own it, but I help though. I help with food and I help with the fire and I help with the cleaning. I don't like the cleaning very much, but
Oh, that's fair.
yeah.
I mean, those are all kind of important jobs. So good on you. I'm assuming it's open now, eh?
Not quite. We were open for lunch, but we're closed now while Mom finishes cooking. But we'll be open later. Maybe you could come back.
Oh, I mean, that'd be great. What are you have to do now, though? You're supposed to be in school, or you got more work to do?
And she kind of looks down at this point and kicks her foot in the gravel between the cobblestones a bit and says, yeah, I should probably be in school. Bye, Mr. Idoso. And she runs off back into the tavern.
Bye. And he'll just kind of like straighten himself out a bit and I guess appear into the tavern again to see who like is it actually open? Is it closed? Was the kid just pulling his leg?
You see a human woman that you could reasonably assume is her mother, who is working in a kitchen. She's the only person to be seen in there, though. There are dishes from on many of the tables that have obviously not been cleared yet, and so forth.
Oh, Idoso is planning something in his head, and it hurts. Planning hurts a lot. It's like the gears are turning, but they're not quite connecting. So he'll just kind of stand there for a moment, until eventually it kind of like this idea dawns on him. He will go ahead and just go in, just little knock on the door and swing open the door.
Yes.
All right there. Hello.
Oh, hello. Yes, we've finished with the lunch service, and but there's still a bit here that you could take with if you'd like, if you're hungry.
Oh no, that's actually quite all right. I was wondering if you see, I'm a traveler, and do you have? Could I help you of some sort? Like a trade of skill, perhaps to help you clean, do some dishes in exchange for food or lodging, something along those sorts.
There's always dishes to be done about here, and she's wiping her hands on her apron at this point to dry them off. And she extends one to you and says, Stephanie.
Pleasure, Idoso.
Welcome, Idoso. What brings you to the crag?
Oh well, you see, I heard that there was a bit of trouble nearby, some sort of strange thing that no one's ever actually quite seen just yet, and I've traveled all over the place looking for those types of things to see with my own two eyes. So I'm here.
Oh, well, I've not seen anything like that, but I've heard rumors, same as most in these parts, I suppose.
Oh, well, what sort of rumors are here?
She looks over her shoulder a bit, and as you look with her, you see her daughter now sitting in a back room at a table uh, with a book open in front of her. And Stephanie lowers her voice. The rumors tell of strange creatures, large, not like anything we've seen in these parts, and we see some large things in the mountains, but creatures with strange properties or abilities. They become invisible one moment and visible again the next. They disappear from one place and reappear in another. They've taken whole villages, if the rumors are to be believed.
So it's not just one or two, it is entire villages.
She nods a bit gravely.
What? That is quite scary, honestly. Do you know who I could speak to, though? I want to be of service if I can.
At that moment, you hear the door open behind you again. And turning around, you see a young dwarf enter, perhaps the equivalent of a human being, maybe 16 years or so. And this person is dressed, though, in it's some kind of formal regalia. Perhaps you're not able to recognize, but he walks up to you. Master Farleaf. Oh, hello, Stephanie. Master Farleaf, on behalf of, and he straightens himself up a bit, on behalf of Lady Bronwyn Barrelhelm, welcome to Kedron's Crag and to my lady's hearth. My name is Durek Jarrell. I am minor equerry to my lady and her house, and I was sent here to find you, sir.
On what grounds? I promise that I haven't broken any rules yet, and if I did, there are definitely rules that I didn't know existed.
No, of course not. Nothing of that sort, sir. Your presence is requested at the keep.
Oh, at the big keep.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Oh. Okay, well then, Stephanie, I would still wouldn't mind being able to help and assist you with the dishes, but I'll be back for that. This actually kind of seems like it might be a bit important.
She sort of tosses her drying rag over her shoulder and smiles and crosses her arms a bit. Yes, it does sound as though you might have more important business to attend to, but as I said, there are always dishes, so come back whenever you like.
I'll be sure to do that. Thank you. And say bye to your Wayne. And he'll kind of like wave a little, off to where you saw the kinder.
As he does, he notices that she's been watching this entire time, and she waves a big, very enthusiastic wave, and almost as enthusiastic as the young page who's come to take you back to the keep. And he leads the way to the door. He holds the door open for you.
I mean, I don't mean to be out of place here, but I'm definitely already out of place. You don't have to be so fancy and so formal. Yeah, there's nobody here watching, and I really don't care. This is almost a bit uncomfortable. What'd you say your name was? Dirk Jarrell of the House of Erie?
Yes, sir. Derek Jarrell. I'm a page to Lady Barrelhelm and her house. You were expected here, sir, and I was sent to inquire of you, and others that I spoke to in the streets mentioned that they had seen someone matching your description, and so I thought perhaps I might bring you along. I have a message for you from my lady, and he pauses in his speech, but he's walking very quickly toward the gates of the keep.
Yeah, and it also will kind of follow, still probably not paying too much attention to especially the level of formality that is being thrown on him in the most like quaint sort of, this kid is trying so dang hard, but there's this whole village, there's things to be seen, and so like Idoso's eyes, he's just kind of like nodded like I not paying like at least half attention.
Yeah. He every few steps he'll pause for just a moment to give you a chance to catch up and to remind you that you're supposed to be following him, at least from his perspective. My lady is unfortunately occupied at the moment. She regrets that she's unable to meet you in person, but she invites you to rest from your journey. She looks forward to meeting you this evening. A regale has been planned in your honor and in honor of all of those who have accepted my lady's invitation. At this point, you're passing through the inner gate and into the yard toward the keep itself.
So you said there's supposed to be a regale? Are they going to be serving like quail or boar, or like what's the menu looking like?
I'm not familiar with the menu at this hour, sir, but I could check with kitchens if that would be important to you. So
No, it'll be fine. I'll just it'll be a surprise by the time that I get there then. I do have a question though. Do I have to wear anything like you? And he just kind of like the eye up, like.
No, not at all. Whatever you've brought will surely be sufficient. This is in your honor.
Well, I don't know why anything needs to be in my honor, but I'm looking forward to it.
Very well, sir. And he's led you into a receiving chamber that's not unlike the one where we saw Devlin earlier conversing with his friend. And as we see Idoso taking in the sights of this massive, thick, open table that is completely covered with meats and cheeses and breads and fresh fruits, and a warm fire crackling behind him, we move away from young Idoso Halfleaf. And instead of moving outward now, we move downward. 7 courses of stairs wind deep into the cliff beneath Kedron's crag, below the kitchens and the larders, below the armory, below even the legendary storehouses where Clan Barrelhelm keeps its most precious treasures. At the very bottom of the 7th course, beneath 100 feet of solid stone, a narrow tunnel leads to a row of 6 cells hewn roughly into the rock. Tallow candles set in narrow sconces between the cells cast an oily light. The air here is heavy, it's warm, it's stagnant in a way that you can taste as much as you can smell. And it's here, behind a door of thick steel bars, that we find a beautiful young woman. She's been here for 3 days. Lauren, tell us a little about Dulcinea.
Dulcie is an Eladrin, currently in her spring form. She has long, wheat blonde hair, curled in ringlets at the front. She has a very interesting looking ear cuff with 4 different colored gems on it. She wears a mint green tunic and kind of basic flexible brown pants with a pink overdress covered with star pattern. She has a little label on the front that says SUTS, which which is the name, well, the abbreviation of a name for the troop that she usually travels with. She has big brown doe eyes, but all this to say that maybe you'd think she looks serene right now, but really she looks bored.
There is a bench, or perhaps even intended to be a bed, that's carved right into the stone of the wall. Behind her, there's a small hole that's been drilled in the floor for purposes that I'm sure you've all divined. Is she sitting? Is she standing at the bars? How is she holding herself the third day of her captivity?
Is at the bars. She's very slender. Not slender enough to squeeze through them that way. At least not that you know of. And she's just kind of hanging on them. Like she just has no energy to do anything else. And probably calling out to annoy whoever is guarding. I don't know that she's really shut up the past 3 days.
Yes, and word of her has passed from guard shift to guard shift. At first, it was relatively easy to get their attention and to keep it, either through guile or through annoyance. But over the last day and a half or so, her attempts at communicating, shall we say, have gone largely unanswered. But now, what you judge to be afternoon, the third day of your captivity, you hear footsteps on the stairs. Hard steel boots descending into this deepest level of the crag's dungeons. Armor and weapons rattle as the guard at the end of the corridor stands. Although you can't see them, you can hear it. Presumably they've stood to meet this new arrival. At first, you think this must be the guard's replacement, but then you realize it's not yet the hour for the guard shift to change. There's a conversation taking place that you can't see. And then the footsteps, 3 distinct sets of footsteps now begin to approach. And a few moments afterward, a figure steps into view. She stands about 5 feet tall, with broad shoulders and a heavy muscular build. She's dressed in a ball gown, or what passes for one in these parts, of silk brocade, but these heavy steel boots on her feet and steel braces cover her forearms. She's thick auburn hair that cascades down over her shoulders in ringlets, almost all the way to the belt at her waist that holds a sword that looks as though it has seen more than its share of action. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to pay you a visit, Dulcinea, says Lady Bronwyn Barrelhelm. But I've been very busy of late.
Yeah, me too. Just so busy.
Yes, of course. I must apologize further. Normally the hospitality of our halls is, well, it's well known and for good reason, but you've not exactly earned your hospitality, have you?
I've been very, chatty with the guards.
Yes, I've heard. I've heard of how chatty you've been. There was a suggestion that you be bound and gagged for the remainder of your visit with us. I didn't feel that was quite necessary.
I'd love to see one of your guards try it.
Oh, you would not have seen one try. 3, perhaps, maybe 4. Your reputation precedes you, Dulcie.
Thank you. So what do you like to be called? Brawny, Winnie?
my guests typically call me Lady Barrelhelm.
Yeah, but I'm not a guest necessarily. I feel like we're on more familiar terms.
She genuinely laughs at that. Oh, Dulcinea. What was it that tempted you into my storerooms?
I was there completely by accident. Didn't know it was your storeroom.
I find that hard to believe.
Why? I'm not from round here.
No. No, exactly. Was it perhaps rumors? Rumors that you've heard of things that we've added to the collection recently?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
She steps back and looks down at the floor for a moment. That's unfortunate. It's most unfortunate, really. I was hoping perhaps you'd help us figure out where these leaks are coming from. Are you sure you couldn't share? We could continue to hold you, of course. Could keep you indefinitely, really.
I really just ended up there by accident, and I don't think that's a crime worthy of such punishment.
Well, when one accidentally discovers an ancient passage, a secret known to very, very few, even within my own family, into the most secure of our storehouses, it's suspicious.
I completely understand, but as I said, it was all a misunderstanding.
You know, actually, I want you to make a deception
Why?
here, please.
Why? I am so honest.
Because I think this is a deception. If I
14.
a 14. Oh, let's just give this a go, shall we? She's silent for a moment. She turns and looks to one of the guards who's standing next to her. It's someone you haven't seen before, and it's perhaps a bit more rank than those that spend their time 7 courses below ground. He almost imperceptibly shrugs. You know, I believe you, Dulcinea, despite everything that's telling me that I shouldn't. I believe you. It may be the desperation, frankly.
So I can go?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wonder, though, do you fancy a party?
I do like parties.
Well, as I said, you've not experienced the full hospitality of Clan Barrelhelm. There is a bit of a rail planned for tonight. Some very important visitors are here, and I wonder if perhaps you might like to join us.
You see, I'm having some trouble putting the two together. I can't go, but you want me to come to a party with you?
Yes, well, what if... Let's put it this way. Why don't if you will agree to stay for the regale, afterward, after you've heard what I have to share, you are free to stay or go as you wish.
So the desperation you were talking about, is that desperation for a +1? Because the one behind you looks like he'd gladly escort you. He's just probably waiting for you to ask.
Dwarves rarely blush, but the one that you pointed to does have some redness rise to his cheeks as you say that. Lady Barrowhelm, however, is completely unperturbed by it all. Just come and hear what I have to say. There are friends waiting you upstairs. Many members of the troupe are here tonight providing entertainment for the regale.
Oh, that's nice. So can I clean up first, or?
No, I'm afraid there's no time for that. Gerard, the cell door, please. And he fumbles for a key at his belt.
Dulcie pushes the door open.
As if she'd already unlocked it somehow. Yes. The Great Escape Artist.
Oh, that's the third time I've escaped from this cell. The first time I teleported. The second time I just contorted my body and squeezed out through the bars. These are really built more for dwarves, and I'm rather small. And the third was, of course, when I stole the keys off that one.
And Gerard at this point is... no, certainly not. There was no point to the keys leave my possession. I'm certain of that. But she's already begun to walk forward back down the passage. And come, Dulcie, you must be hungry.
Sure. I'm going to skip out of the cell.
Lovely. And she leads the way back up those courses of stairs. The officer that you've heard her refer to as Gerard is behind you, and as promised, she leads you directly to the ground level of the keep. Down a series of passages, you see guards and guards bow and house staff scurry out of the way as she goes, and she takes you straight into into the regale. And at this point, we find all of our heroes as the sun is setting over the crag, having made their way to this place after having taken their rest, a moment to clean up from the road, some meditation, enjoyed the food and the hospitality of this hall. You're all sort of together in this place. Dulcie, Bronwyn delivers you to your friend. You look around and of course, there's probably 25 or 30 people in this room, but you see many whom you recognize as your troop mates from the Spectacle Under the Stars troupe that you have performed with in recent years. There's a fire breather in this corner, a juggler in that corner, and Bronwyn walks with you directly to someone that you recognize as a dear friend. This is Hildegard Brickbuster, the bearded dwarf woman who is the leader and proprietor of the Spectacle Under the Stars troupe. She is dressed as richly as you have ever seen her. She's in a dress that you know to be one of the finest that she owns. There's silk and embroidery and it's green and gold, and she's oiled her beard. It shines luxuriously, and she's laughing loudly and sipping wine from a heavy crystal goblet. She's in conversation with a woman whose back is to you. She's tall and lean, and it takes you just a moment to recognize her. And when you do, it's by the thick silver braid that hangs down her back. And you recognize her as Ardent, the champion of Isranthos, with whom you have some history, I believe. Dulcie leads you straight over, and if she sees you begin to hesitate, she'll take you by the arm and lead you right into the middle of this conversation. And she says to your friend, she says, "Hildegard, look what I've found." And Hildy makes eye contact with you. There's this moment of that no one else would recognize, but where you and Hildegard acknowledge together what's happened and why you're there and why you've been missing. But the moment passes and Hildegard, "Of course, Dulcie, it is so good to see you again." And she reaches out and with one arm and kind of a wine glass in the other and takes you into an embrace.
Yeah, Dulcie probably fails at hiding her face, though she's really trying, with a very different reaction from, like, she had with Bronwyn. She hugs Hildegard and whispers in her ear, "Don't leave me alone with the silver-haired fox."
And Hildegard laughs. Yes, my dear, I've missed you as well. I wonder perhaps if you know my friend, and she, Ardent, this is Dulcinea, one of my dearest friends and one of the most beloved acts in the spectacle under the stars.
Yes, it is good to see you again, Dulcinea.
Oh, have we met? You know, there's just so many fans of the spectacle, so sometimes it's hard to keep track.
Ardent just narrows like the top pair of eyes. No, I'm sure that you wouldn't remember.
Hildegard has a handkerchief. Hildegard has a handkerchief in front of her face and is sort of covering a laugh.
Right, so, alcohol?
What type of drink do you have, Dulcinea?
I like anything bubbly, fizzy.
Right, and Ardent will flag down a server and grab something for Dulcie.
The hospitality of these halls is well known, but this is the far north, and it is the foothills of the mountains, and the most bubbly thing you'll find is probably local ale. There's an assortment of wines from the valley, though, and
yeah, she'll chug something.
just the first thing that comes along.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Ardent probably hands her a thing of beer, and they'll take a goblet of wine and just very casually sip it, looking at Dulcie.
Avoiding eye contact with 4 eyes. Tricky.
Well, isn't this nice? Hildegard says. And it's hard to tell if she's being genuine or a bit sarcastic. It is a beautiful hall. There are fires roaring in 2 massive fireplaces that span most of the side walls here. There's beautiful banquet table that's been laid out, and people are standing around it and eating their fill. Across the room, Ardent, you see your friend Rico, the captain friend. Rico, the captain of the guard. He's surrounded by a small group of people. He appears to be telling them some tale, and he's enacting it with great dramatic flair. The others around him are receiving this, a range of responses from fascination to sort of polite listening and acknowledgement, maybe a little boredom here and there. But you also see on the far side of the room, near a table of food, a young-looking halfling. This is Idoso, as he's been described. And at this moment, you see a young court attendant of some type bringing in an older, kind of thin-looking dwarf. Devlin, this attendant, has just brought you from your meditations to the regale, and you see all of this. He sort of drops you here at this near this very same table where Idoso is standing. And Idoso, you are standing here alone at this point. You've only just arrived as well, so the two of you are close to one another, close enough that it would be to either have to make an awkward excuse not to talk or to engage one another in some kind of polite conversation.
We have been talking in the background about this.
Yes.
So we just sort of escorted up, and I'm just sort of looking, just not, at first I don't notice Idoso, but just sort of glancing over my shoulder, talking to the attendants like, wonderful. It's always nice to have a party as the world burns around you. No, very good. No, this will be fine. Thank you. And just sort of turns and he's like, oh God. Is that you?
I think upon hearing that voice that is somewhat familiar, Idoso, whose eyes are just like taking everything in. Oh my gosh, did you see the food? Did you see the drinks? Why is he still wearing that? Gonna go shopping, kid, like, you know. But his attention quickly is averted to a kind of old acquaintance. Didn't think we dabbed in there quite yet. I mean, technically anybody is a friend to Idoso. It's just whether or not that word is mutually used is still yet to be seen. But all right, Devlin. A long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Still got both your arms?
Yeah, no, still here. No, the Shadow Mastiff didn't eat both of them off, thankfully.
Oh, hey, that's a blessing if I ever heard one. What brings you out here? It's a bit far from the Outlands.
Certainly, yes. There's, well, if you're not, you've been around, you get around. Have you not seen the things that have been happening around the countryside? Different, these potential attacks that have been happening?
Well, to be honest, that's kind of what I'm here. I want to actually see these things. I've just heard about them. So, you know, I got my two eyes.
Finally, someone here wants to do something about it. Good. It's
right.
I've just been trying to get in to see. And is Lady Barrelhelm in the room, or is somewhere, or is?
She is. She has. She's after she dropped off Dulcinea. She has made her way across the room to Captain Dorthin, Ardent's acquaintance, and is politely listening in. She seems to have hooked a young elvish woman as she walked over and is drawing her into the circle of that conversation. And if you pay attention for a moment, you'll notice her making some kind of introductions of this woman to the group that's there.
And so just be like, I've been trying to, been told, you know, I was summoned here by presumably about this, but not had an actual opportunity to talk with her about it. I don't know how much time we're going to end up having, but seems Well, it's our lot to wait until the work of government finishes doing whatever it's doing.
What weapon does Devlin typically use?
He's got a staff. You've probably actually seen. You're probably one of the people who has seen Devlin hurl fire at things before. So the only thing that's obvious that he has on him is he's got a staff, and that's like the main thing that as far as you're looking and seeing.
Great. I was just
got a staff,
trying
he's
to
got a
find a way
dagger,
to insult Devlin, so perfect.
but he does. You've seen him use magic before, so that's primarily.
Excellent.
I think if things get rough and.
Excellent. Well, I mean, Devlin, it's great that you're here, because if there's ever a nerd that I wanted on my team to be able to go off and do this, it's the one that knows how to strike a match. So if you got to go do some talking, might as well go find some information out from this Bermel feast.
Yes, I think that's it.
Great, fantastic. We could go and talk to her, because I mean, quite honestly, this is all fun and fine, but the sooner that we find out information, the sooner we can go out and figure it out.
I suppose, but
oh, speaking of
beware.
figuring out,
She may have a number of things that are happening right now that we do not see. So let's just go in. If I agree, we should head up, but let's be wary of that, as sometimes I've done that before with heads of state. That's backfired on me.
See, that's why nobody actually likes the heads of state.
It's fair.
May I get a perception check from both of you, please?
Righto.
Maybe.
For Captain. Yeah.
Idoso.
So good.
We're on our game
does.
tonight.
Coordinated.
Nice.
Lovely.
Now we're rolling 8s.
Idoso, I think at this point, your circle of conversation has shifted in such a way that that you're now watching that circle around the great captain of Isanthros across the other side of the room. And as the conversation has been going, your conversation with Devlin, you watched as that young elvish woman, received the introduction. She bowed and took the hand of the captain of the guard. But as soon as he went back to his story, she disengaged, and she's now sort of casually moving from table to table, made her way over to the two of you, to the point that she's approaching now, and she's looking straight at you, Idoso.
All right. What you need?
She looks a bit embarrassed for just a moment, but then quickly recovers and returns to eye contact with you. She is stunningly beautiful. She's a tall, elvish woman, and her skin is so pale that it almost has a blue tint to it. And she says, You're Farleaf, are you not?
I am. And you be?
She puts out a hand and takes your hand and shakes it. It is such it's wonderful to meet you, truly. I'm Sithrel Fen Karen. I'm learning to walk the plains as you do. I've heard your name spoken of with some renown. I can't believe that I get to meet you here in this place.
Wait, you're telling me that you're able to go shift between 1 and the 2s?
Well, I'm learning. As I said, it takes some practice, doesn't it?
A lot of practice and a lot of practice.
Yeah. Yes, it it runs in my family, as it does yours, I think.
Your entire family, that like just the whole lineage, they're all able to plane shift.
Well, there aren't many of them to begin with, and I don't know some of them, but yes.
Well, that's quite incredible. Can I assist you? Do you have any questions, or I mean, maybe I could learn a thing or two from you.
Oh, I'm sure I have nothing to teach you. I've only just begun. And then she sees, she's of course already seen Devlin, but realizes that she's been a bit focused. I'm so sorry, Sithrel. It's wonderful to meet you, and you are
Devlin Archon. Pleasure.
All of this is just a bit overwhelming for me. I'm sorry.
It is rather a lot.
Oh,
Yes.
well, I mean, what are you out here supposed to be doing?
Well,
Just for
I
the food, or you're here for
Oh, you're very funny. No, I received a summons by name. It was quite unusual. I've never received anything like that before. But here I am.
Hi. Okay, this chick is too much for me. I think after chugging her ale, Dulcie spots Idoso and has been trying to like subtly weave her way over to him. And at this point, she joins their little clump with a very fake laugh and kind of like steps in front of whoever this is. And grabs Idoso in a hug. Hi!
I'll let you sweets, and like just like go with a big old hug, from the little arms.
Yes.
That I can't actually quite has, It's just sick of the hug. You got out?
Yes, I got out of that rut I was in.
Oh. Yes, the rut you were in.
Mm-hmm.
Inside.
Yes. Let's roll some dice, shall we, my friends?
Why? I'm so subtle all the time. Everything I do. Dirty 20. See? I told you.
Oh, yeah, no. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolute truth.
Sweet, have you met my friend here, Devlin? He's from the Outlands, kind of does a bunch of investigation out in the wilds.
Oh, the wilds. That explains the dirt.
Just sort of nod and was like, Oh, I forgot to shake that side of the cloak off. Thank you. And I just sort of will do that for a moment.
Yes,
Evening.
I'm, Dulcinea here with the Spectacle Under the Stars troupe, escape artist extraordinaire.
All very true,
Cool.
honestly, because, that rat, she definitely got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think that she'd be able to do so.
But I did.
Proud of you.
Do a lot of traveling around, do you?
Oh, yeah, we move all across the lands, entertaining, performing, nothing shady.
Right. Yeah, of course. It's good. What do you do?
I'm kind of a contortionist and, like I said, an escape artist of sorts. I can get in and out of places most can't.
In a lot of places that she shouldn't.
Hi, Ardent! Oh, it's so good that you followed me across the room. I wanted to introduce you to my friends.
Hey, Sweets, and he's gonna kind of like signal you down to like his level, but just very not subtly, like kind of thumbing over at Ardent, like, "Isn't that the peeler who put you in the rut?"
Oh, that was a different rut, but yes, that's them.
Do you need to leave?
I would love to leave. I would love to leave this place, but it might be bad for me mates, if you know what I mean.
Fair. And like, you know, so like stand back and just kind of like stand up a little straighter, just kind of like wave as if you couldn't hear the conversation.
No, couldn't hear
you definitely could hear the
Yeah,
conversation.
definitely didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have 4 ears, Ardent.
At this point, you notice that the young woman, Cithrel, who was speaking with you, has gotten the hint and has left. And as you look around, you see perhaps that that Lady Barrelhelm has come and taken her by the arm and has led her back over to that group that she was with, that has now been joined by another man that you didn't see before. This is also a dwarf that you see. He actually, you know what? I would love to get intelligence checks from everyone on this, and Ardent, you can make yours with advantage.
Ooh.
Ah, yes, intelligence, my strength.
That's a save, but same deal.
Works. Yeah. Okay. So then, I think that Ardent, you immediately recognize this person who has joined their party. At Idoso, you recognize him as well. But Ardent, for you, it's quite a surprise. This person who has joined them, who appears dwarvish, hard to say, perhaps a half dwarf. His name is Aranok Ladinion, and he is the leader of a mercenary company that is known as the Grey Battalion, that has been selling their swords across the land for purposes both good and questionable for some time. He is shoulder to shoulder with Rico Dorthan at this point, and they are talking in hushed tones as Lady Barrelhelm moves to the head of the table, and rather than sort of clinking something against one of her crystal goblets, she gets the attention of the room by taking that crystal goblet and throwing it hard against the fireplace stone, and it shatters loudly, and everyone turns and applauds for just a moment. She says, "Friends, welcome. Many of you have traveled far to be here tonight. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you, of course, to Hildegard, Brickbuster, and the Spectacle Under the Stars for providing our entertainment this evening." And there is a round of applause and a few whistles. And at that point, Hildegard makes a bow. Your mates from the troop make a bow, Dulcie, and they are ushered out along with most of the staff. The doors are shut, and a heavy echo is heard across the hall. And Lady Bronwyn stands quietly for a moment and then looks up. "You all know why you're here. You're here to answer the threat to our lands that has arisen somewhere in the barrier peaks to the north. There are some among us who still remember those days long ago when a threat emerged from those peaks that almost destroyed us all." And she makes eye contact with Devlin here specifically. and nods to you. The desperation of those days are something that none of us would relive or have our children or our children's children relive. But we would not have learned the lesson of them if we were to tarry any longer in addressing what is a most mysterious threat that appears to be emerging from those peaks again. So, here's the plan. 2 reconnaissance parties will be dispatched from the crag. The first of them will be led by Captain Dorthin, and she motions to him, on loan to us from the city guard of Isranthus. Captain, we are so grateful to have your leadership and your wisdom here with us. And she begins to applaud and looks at the crowd, and many follow her in their applause.
Ardent does not.
I suspected perhaps they wouldn't. Among that party will be Aranok Ladinion, whom many of you know, a great warrior, commander of the Grey Battalions, who is here, and he sort of raises a hand and nods. They will also be joined by Cherry Redding. Cherry, where are you? And she steps out. You see a woman, a human woman, step out from behind the 2 men where she had been conversing with them. She's tall and very thin. She is wearing a simple but elegant scarlet dress. Let's play those intelligence rolls one more time, and this time Dulcie and Dulcie, you get advantage on this one.
Six.
Did anyone succeed on that check? Devlin, I'm not sure if that was was that 20 your check for this roll, or your roll for this check?
Yeah, that was this roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ardent, Dulcie, Idoso, what you know of this woman is that she's a noble. She is one of the daughters of Lord Maintagar, who is one of the lords of the great cities. She's a duchess. Devlin, what you know is that she is, among those in the know, she is respected and or feared as a spy. She passes information back and forth between the noble houses. Go ahead.
I have a friend who's a spy master. Is that why I know who this is?
Yes,
Okay.
that is in fact
Awesome.
in fact why you have heard tell of her, and so she makes a bow as she's introduced, and finally joining Captain Dorthin's party, Sithrel, Fenkarin, and the young woman that was speaking to you earlier, who took such a shine to you, Idoso, makes a awkward sort of a wave, and there's some applause. And Lady Barrelhelm says that the second reconnaissance party will be led by Ardent, champion of Isranthus, a former member of the guard there. Now, Ardent, this is not something that she had heretofore spoken to you about, but all eyes turn to you, and there is some applause.
Yeah, Ardent will politely incline their head, not showing the surprise on their face, but she sure is.
I give a woo!
I just sort of lock eyes with Ardent for a moment, applauding quietly and smiling, and it's a little odd because I know where to look when locking eyes with someone with 4 eyes. And just nod mysteriously.
Yes. Joining Ardent will be our a dear friend of this house, our the master of the Hearth Wardens and of the Iron Ember Citadel, Archon, Devlin Archon. Devlin, we are so honored to have your presence with us in this important task.
Dulcie starts to not like where she's standing and just is going to ever so subtly try to put some distance.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything about that. Let's just see. Okay. Lady Barrelhelm, makes this very solemn acknowledgement. Also joining Ardent, Idoso Farleaf, renowned walker of the plains. And applause. And no one is applauding more loudly than Cithrel at this point. She is
like finger guns towards her. They're totally BFFs now. Like, this is the thing.
Yeah. And this party would not be complete were it not for the presence of, and she looks around for Dulcie for just a moment. She can't see you, but she says, Dulcinea, a circus performer with a knack for getting into places she shouldn't.
Dulcie.
And there's some laughter around the room.
Yeah, she freezes from where she was definitely not thinking about, hiding under a table, and does a very exaggerated performer bow, arms up, and then down, and then back up. And then begrudgingly goes back to stand with her group.
Yes. As the applause die down, Lady Barrelhelm clears her throat. It really couldn't be clearer. Your mission is to find the source of these strange attacks and to bring back information that can be used to mount a proper defense. If it is indeed a portal and you have the means to force it shut, then do so. But it is of critical importance that at least one of your number return here with the results of your reconnaissance. In reward for your service, should you return, and should we successfully defeat this menace, you will each receive a lord's share of the spoils. Of course, there is much more at stake than simply the spoils of war. It's time to show you, my friends. And at this point, you notice that there has, across one side of the room, there's been a curtain drawn, and that curtain now is drawn back, and it reveals a table, much like the ones that you see food laid out on. But on this table sits something unlike anything you have ever seen before. Is it a container, perhaps? It seems to be one, a glass container, but first, it's larger than any you've ever seen before. It's 10 feet on a side, easily. It's also clearer. In fact, it's almost as if there's no glass at all. It's simply water, some murky gel. But it sits upon a base of gleaming silver metal, a couple of gold protrusions like rivets of some sort on the corners. She begins to walk toward it and ushers the rest of you closer. And from where you're standing, you're only about 20 feet away at this point. From where you're standing, though, you can see there's something inside of this container. Is it a creature, perhaps? It's hard to say because it's not moving. It's almost as if it's set in glass or trapped here in some way. The members of Dorthin's group follow along with Lady Barrelhelm. They close in on it. She clearly wants you to see what this is.
Yeah, Ardent will start walking, and as they do, I think Dulcie would notice that there's this kind of faint glow to their normally dark blue eyes that turns them more silver, and another eye pops open on their neck as they use divine sense.
Remind us, Ardent, about divine sense and its capabilities here.
Yes, so divine sense allows me as an action to detect good and evil. I can sense anything affected by the hollow spell, know the location of any celestial fiend undead within 60 feet that's not behind total cover. And yeah, just gauging the nature of the thing.
Yes. I'll describe to you what you sense as I describe to all of you what you see. As you take a few steps closer, it's almost as if the liquid or the gel clarifies a bit. And what you see at first you think it's a pony of some kind. It's about that size. And then, but it's not shaped properly. Is it a cat, a great cat of some nature? If it is, it's the largest any of you have ever seen. It is 6 feet tall at the shoulder and long and lean, and it is black. It is as black as night. It's almost as if light falls into it. And then you see the tentacles. 2 tentacles, 12, maybe 15 feet long, coming off of its shoulders and arcing out behind it, each of them ending in a paddle almost, but covered alternately with eyes and with spikes, with fleshy spikes. A step closer, and you can see at its feet 3 more, all in this container, but the 3 are they're smaller, perhaps 4 feet long. If this great beast is a cat, it has a litter of 3 kits, but they are all completely still, as if frozen or paralyzed. You hear, and Ardent, what you sense beyond your sight is evil, is the deepest, most yearning and hungry evil you have ever sensed. You hear a voice from the other group. Is it Cithrel, perhaps? It's a woman's voice saying, "Gods and planets, what is it?" And at that moment, a wind blows through the room. Every light is dimmed. One of the people across the room utters words in a language that you don't immediately recognize. Light glows from their hand, and in the light, you can see fear on everyone's faces. But Dulcie, you look at the container just in time to see that whatever it was inside is no longer there. And that is where we will end tonight's adventure.
This is fine.
This is fine.
It's cool.
This is so fine. Who's worried? I am not worried.
What an auspicious beginning to our adventure. I would love to go around and hear a little bit from each of you. Tell us, remind us who you are. Tell us a little bit about your experience tonight. Tell us where we can find you online. And let's start with Gnome. Gnome, I am so thrilled to finally get to play with you. How was it? What do you think?
Oh my gosh, you are a storyteller of storytellers, dear Allyson. Oh my gosh, I just was super focused and just wanted more. How you set up the world, how you set up these NPCs and just gave them so much life. We could already tell who we love and who we're okay with, he fall down the cliff. He knows. It's fine. It's good, but oh my god. So
Thank
good.
you. I'm so glad. Well, you all did at least as much of the work as I did. I'm so excited to get to create with you. Remind us where we can find you online and what you're up to these days.
Oh, yeah. Hi, my name is Gnome. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Gnomedic. I do TTRPG things and TTRPG spaces. Obviously here, Mondays, new show. So honored. Just so excited to be playing with everybody here. Is a completely new face for me to play with, although I have admired you all from various other aspects in the corners of the internet world. You are all so freaking fantastic. Tuesdays is going to be a new show starting in May. I'm doing a short run of Tales from the Loop over on my channel. We're going to have some more announcements on that in a little bit, so kind of figuring out, like the title of the show. It's fine. It's, how things work. It's super last minute. Thursdays, you can catch me playing Coriolis, The Void, over on Unmade Gaming's channel. If you like sci-fi space stuff, that is definitely the show to get into. And you can also catch me on the Rise of the Demigods podcast, which we do have a new episode coming out, I believe, this Wednesday over on the Godsfall Twitch channel. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
I can't wait for next week. Why did you end with the heist?
Was it a heist though? Was it a heist though? Or is there just a hungry mother displacer beast and her 3 kittens hanging around in the room? We'll see. We got a week to figure it out. Who knows?
It's fine.
Jim, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Where can we find you online?
Ellie, this was so good. This just basically the idea, just taking the threads of backstory that we threw at you, and you have made a delightful souffle with them. It was so wonderful. I'm no kidding. I was kind of tearing up at the first line, but that's because of backstory stuff. And this is going to be great. This is going to be so good. I love these characters. We were sort of in the background, was sort of doing stuff, sending messages, sort of figuring things out, some things, and this is going to be great. It's going to be so good. I'm Jim. I am a writer, streamer, and podcaster. I am Otherdoc. That's OTHERDOC on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find links to my various projects and such. But mainly these days I'm streaming. Over on my channel, we do during the week we do things like monthly campaigns. We're finishing up Alas Vegas and Monster of the Week are happening this week. We have a Masks campaign we're trying to get back to. We have a short campaign of The Sprawl that started up. And I'm also running on the weekends Invisible Sun and bunches of one-shots of all manner of indie games, which is how I started the channel and what I'm still doing. And also Ghosts of Saltmaw, a Dark Matter campaign, which is Ghosts of Saltmarsh in Space, run by the wonderful Alyssa. So that is
cool.
Also a thing that's happening over on my channel. And in general, almost always recruiting for games, since I've got a lot of them going on. So feel free to check out any of my media and the various RPG signups linked from there. This has been an utter delight. Thank you so much.
And for me as well, sir. Thank you. Lauren Key, shall I say goodnight, Allie, and hand it back to you? Awesome. I will certainly do that. As I do, a couple of some words of gratitude to Paul and Patrick for your gifts of subs. Thank you so much. To Katie and Mike for advantages and alien devices. Those 2 alien devices that you brought into the game, Mike, will show up next week, and not a moment too soon, I promise you. So be on the lookout for that. But just thanks to all of you who were here and were a part of this tonight. You can find me on Twitter at Allyson Robinson with 2 L's and a Y, where I'm basically always talking about this stuff because I love it. I'm here on the channel on Sundays playing Masks of Nyarlathotep, Call of Cthulhu campaign with my lovely Lauren as our running our game, and just incredible stuff. So if you like cosmic horror, you definitely want to be there with us on Saturday mornings. That's it from me. I will see you all here next week. pass it back to Lauren and Key.
Personal
Yeah.
stuff?
Personal stuff. Yeah, this was so awesome. I had goosebumps from the fucking beginning. As soon as that music transition happened, I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'm so in. It was so good. I can't wait to find out more. As soon as like, large cats, they're like, God fucking. And the great thing that I love about this is that we know it as meta, and we also have, but we also have it as like totally alien to our characters, and that's really, really cool for us to kind of explore. We don't know what this shit is. We're gonna find out real fast, I think. But yeah, y'all can find me over on Twitter at Kienna S. Best way to figure out what I'm doing. When I'm not here on this channel, I'm usually just here on the channel, but I'm also on WebDM on Tuesdays for Simba Room. And I am on an upcoming show on the Gilding Light happening on Fridays starting this week. I can't talk about it yet because it hasn't been announced, but it'll be announced real soon and then I can talk about it. But Fridays, Gilding Light. What about you, Lauren?
I'm Lauren. I'm That Salty Ginger over on Twitter. You can find me here every weekend playing Witcher on Sundays and running Masks of Nyarlathotep on Saturdays. You can also find me on the Scraticus Academy running Urban Shadows, on Off the Table every other week for Cypher System, and other places very, very soon. Very, very soon, yes. In terms of channel stuff, I mean, I think we've covered the main things. We've got Masks of Nyarlathotep, a Pulp Cthulhu campaign Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, and The Witcher, Crimson and Ash on Sundays at 8 a.m. Pacific. Lots of different friends from all around the internet coming together and playing tabletop role-playing games. Yeah.
We have a few other things to cover. First off, we want to thank our lovely artist who did our character art, Rachel. You can go check her out over on her Twitter, Pip400art, over on her website as well. She is amazing. She did some really great work with our portraits and her commission to open, so go check her out. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to a wonderful Roll20. Even though I had 2 nat ones, they're amazing. They're really great. Awesome people who are helping to bring together people all across distances and time zones to play games together. We use Roll20 for all of our tabletop games. They are amazing. Go give them some love. As well, as Ali covered, huge thank you to everyone who supported us, whether that's through donations, through subs, all that stuff. Holy shit, we had a lot of gift subs tonight. Wild. But yeah, everything from those goes directly to upkeep of the channel, so we can keep bringing you cool content like this. Speaking of cool content, if you ever miss an episode or you want to rewatch one, we have a YouTube channel. We upload all of our VODs there, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and I'll figure out another day for this show to upload. Those are usually when I upload shows, so you can check that out there. Subscribe to us over there as well to just get notifications on that. We're trying to get to enough subs so we can stop having a stupid URL. So please help us with that, because we'd like to have a nice URL. Please and thank you. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. We post when we go live. We also post when we do new shows, such as this one, or when we do one-shots or video games, because we like to do that sporadically over the weeks. So best way to keep up with us and what cool stuff we do and what our cast members do and all that fun stuff. I think that's it from us tonight. So we are going to go raid our friend, Laugh Love Lindsay.
Yay.
So she's also a cast member on Salt Speak Games. So please stick around and chat for that raid. If you have that hype emote, please spam the hype emote in chat. Otherwise, just spam some hearts for love from us at Salt Speak Games. I think that's it, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful rest of your night.
Wave bye, everybody.